What's up, everyone? Now, if you're hoping for another Dell Optiplex video, it seems that the fates have aligned and we have a very fun video today involving our Optiplex build. So today we have quite the task ahead of us here in the studio. We're going to not only be modding our Optiplex case to fit a larger GPU in it, but we're also going to be fully upgrading it to what I believe takes it from the just another upgraded Optiplex bracket to holy shit, what does that thing have in it level. So stick around because you're not gonna want to miss this one. Let's go.
URCDkey has discounted codes for games and software that are a fraction of what you would pay if you purchased them from a retail store. More specifically, they have great prices on their Microsoft Office 2016 bundle that comes with a Windows 10 license as well. If that's not enough, you can also use my promo code RAV20 to receive 20% off the already discounted price. Just type in your product you're looking for, add it to the cart, view your cart, head to the checkout, type in my promo code, once again, RAV20, and see the sweet savings appear. Check the links in the video description to learn more.
All right. Now, let's first recap the system that we were using in our previous Optiplex video. So we had a Core i5-4590, 8 gigs of DDR3 1600 MHz RAM, a GTX 1060 6 gig or the 1650 Super 4 gig, a 120 gig SSD, the stock Dell motherboard, and the stock 290 watt power supply. Now, if you noticed there, I said we had those parts, and that is because today we are going to be changing basically every single part I just listed, aside from the motherboard, of course. Yeah, see what I meant when I said you wouldn't want to miss this? Okay, before we dive into the mods and upgrades, let me show you what we're going to be upgrading in this build. For the CPU, we're now going to be rocking an i7-4770. Now, yes, you could also go with a Xeon E3 1245 V3 or something similar because they're basically the exact same thing. And if you can find the Xeon for cheaper, then go with that instead. So hopefully this will help with our bottlenecking issues we experienced in our last video with that i5, but of course we may have to explore this further in its own video entirely. So if you want to see that, comment down below and let me know. So for the RAM, it's kind of weird because I thought we were upgrading to 16 gigs of G.Skill Ripjaws X 1600 MHz in a 2x8 kit. That's again what I thought it was gonna be when I decided I wanted to use this RAM, but it turns out it was actually a 2x4 kit. So I ended up taking one of these sticks and then yeah, another random 8GB stick I had laying around for a total of 12 gigs of RAM, which should be fine for this build. And for the GPU, we're going to be taking a huge step up to the GTX 1070 8 gig. Now, it's the very same card that I actually used to own. In fact, it is exactly the one that I used to own because I sold it to my buddy Tom and he lent it to me to use in this video. So thanks, Tom. And we should see some substantial gains using this GPU. Now, since we're going to be using this higher power GPU, we'll need more power, right? Well, no worries, I'm going to be upgrading the PSU as well. We're actually going to be using an upgraded stock Dell power supply that came out of a Dell Precision T1700. The best part about this power supply is that it plugs right into our board, meaning there is no need for any adapter for the 24-pin like a standard ATX power supply if you're going to go ahead and use that. This PSU actually comes with a 6-pin PCI cable on it, and I didn't realize this until I got it. So I could have just used that 6-pin and then put an 8-pin adapter on it to power our GTX 1070, but I already ordered a SATA to 8-pin adapter, so that's what I'm going to be using today. And we're also going to be throwing in a 1TB spinning drive, but this is mainly for when I sell the system later on. Now, the first thing we need to tackle with this upgrade is modding our case. So let's go ahead and take our case outside in my garage and begin. But before you start this, I recommend fully stripping everything out of the case to prevent metal shavings from getting on your components and things possibly getting damaged. For this mod, you'll need a drill and a couple of drill bits for punching out the rivets holding the hard drive cage in. Some are smaller and can be drilled out with a 1/8 bit, but there's a couple that will need a bit that's a little bit larger than that, so we'll get to those in a second. Also, please wear gloves when you do this. I didn't do this, and you'll see why I wish I did when we get to the end of this. I started off by drilling out the 5 rivets on the bottom of the case. Just drill through and make sure you see the rivet pop out. Same thing with the 6 on the front, but these required me to switch to a larger bit to get them out. Also, don't forget the little one on the left side. It kind of hides over there, and that one you can get out with the standard bit that we used before. Now on to the hardest part of this. You'll need an extension to reach to the back of the case to extend your bit a little bit further, and this is to drill out the 4 holes that are back there. So now be very careful with these and make sure they do not drill too far, because if you do, you'll drill right through the back of the case. Just take your time and you'll be fine. Now with all the rivets drilled out, you may have to wiggle the hard disk drive cage around a little bit and pull it out, and this may require a little bit of force, but be careful or you'll end up like me. So as you see, I cut the crap out of my hand on one of those jagged edges of metal. So don't be like me, be safe and wear gloves, or you're gonna end up with some scars like I have. All right, now that we have the case modded and this hard drive cage pulled out, we can get rid of this stupid thing. And now we can begin putting everything back together and start putting in our new upgrades. So cue the build montage. Here we go. All the upgrades are in, and this thing is actually starting to look like a capable gaming PC for once. So you already know there's only one thing left to do. Let's benchmark this sucker. Okay, that was a lot of benchmarks, but I really wanted to show both 1080p and 1440p numbers because this PC is definitely capable of both. And in some titles, you really don't see much of a performance loss going from one resolution to the other. Now, one thing I really do want to point out is that with our i7 and 1070 combo here, there was very little to no bottlenecking to be seen in our benchmark runs. This leads me to further believe that I need to revisit the i5 4590 we used in the last video and put it against our i7 4770 with the 1060 we used last time, or even the 1650 Super we used last time, and see if we get less of a bottleneck than we did previously in those certain titles. And if you guys want to see that, put it in the comments below and let me know if you want to see that. So tying this thing all up, I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope it possibly gives you a route to go forward with these machines. If you own one and maybe you were thinking that it was at the end of its rope and totally maxed out, but as it turns out, there actually are quite a few mods like the ones we did today that can maximize this old office PC and turn it into something that can really drive today's games and do it with very respectable frame rates. So what did you guys think of this? Would you hack up your Optiplex chassis to make room for a larger GPU and push the Optiplex platform to its limits? Or do you think it's simply not worth it? Either way, if you enjoyed what I did here today and found it helpful or even entertaining, then make sure you hit the like button so I know you guys are into this type of content. Along with that, if you enjoy my content and you want to see more, make sure you get subscribed and turn those notifications on. And you know what? Check out my giveaway I'm hosting right now. There are still a couple days left to enter, and I'll link that video right up here for you guys if you guys are interested in that. So yeah, you guys can win yourself a free microphone kit from Tonor. But anyway, that's going to be it for me today, you guys. I will see you in the next one. Later.